Today's session dedicated to development of agglomerations. I should like to invite Mr. Marat Aizatulin, Minister of Construction, Architecture and Housing and Communal Services, Republic of Tatarstan, Mr. Oleg Grigoriev, Director of the State Budgetary Institution. We are expecting Mr. Sergei Muzichenko, Deputy Minister of Construction and Housing of the Russian Federation. I should also like to invite Professor Abraham Pajat Ajit, Deputy Chancellor, Bennett University, and he's a professor of the Unipolis University. I should like to introduce to you Mr. Denis Kalinkin, First Deputy Head of the Municipal Formation of Kazan, Republic of Tatarstan, Natalia Klimova, Head of the Organizing Committee of the Council of Chief Architects of the Regions of the Russian Federation and multi-municipalities. And also, we will through video conference, we will have Roman Jafarov, Deputy Minister of Construction and Architecture of Stavropol Krai, and he's a Chief Architect of Stavropol Krai, and also Fina Genov, Deputy General Director of the Foundation Dom RF. Dear colleagues, today we assembled this session prior to the Rebus Forum, which will be held in November of this year in Kazan, and it will be fully dedicated to the development of urban agglomerations, and where we will submit a plan of spatial development, and it will be discussed there, and we will discuss the experience of other countries and regions, matters of legislation, development of cultural and historical legacy within structure of agglomeration. And today we will tackle the problems of development in Russia all over the world in the field of agglomerations. And I want to give the floor to Mr. Marat Aizatulin, Minister of Construction, Republic of Tatarstan. Dear afternoon, dear friends. Good afternoon, dear friends, participants, guests of forum, and in the name of Rais of our Republic, Mr. Minikhanov, I should like to welcome you in the hospitable land of Tatarstan. Our Republic is one of the most dynamically developed regions of Russia, and construction industry plays a key role. It is a driver of the economic development. Housing is developing at great pace, and within 1 year, the growth amounted to 1 million from 2 million to 3,400,000 square meters, and the total cost exceeded 700 billion rubles as per results of the year. The volume of financing is more 120 billion rubles. With such a scale of construction, we need to synchronize it with other matters, with social transportation infrastructure, and with the points of labor applications. In other words, we need a balanced development of the territory, and this synchronization is possible only within agglomeration development, especially taking into account that major cities, they go beyond their administrative borders. Agglomeration is a key driver of economic growth and of increasing quality of life. It allows to solve different matters, and master plans, they become major part of agglomeration. The president of the Russian Federation, Mr. Vladimir Putin, in his message to the Federal Assembly, he mentioned the importance of master plans within the agglomerations. Now we have to define sources of financing, and at the end of 2022, we set up up the Institute for Spatial Development and started to develop master plan of the capital and of the nearby regions. Today, while my colleagues will be speaking during this session, Director of the Institute of Spatial Planning, Mr. Grigoriev, and Mr. Kalinkin, they will speak about this work in detail. And I should like to highlight a massive amount of data. It is not possible to work now without using modern technologies. These modern technologies, they are main tools in during all stages. And concluding, I should like to thank all the speakers for their response, for their agreement to take part in this forum, and I hope that this session will be a platform for discussion, and it will provide for the successful development of our regions, republics, and countries. Thank you. Thank you, Marat Mansurovich, for your welcome speech. Dear colleagues, today we have professional builders, professional guests, whom, for them, it will be very interesting to listen to the presentations. And I should like to invite Mr. Grigoriev, Director of the Institute of Spatial Planning. You can speak, well, from your place or go to the podium. Thank you very much for the possibility to talk today. And if you put my presentation on screen, I will briefly make a comment. As Mr. Marat Mansurovich said, our institute was set up only recently, 1.5 years ago, based on the decision of the Rais of Tatarstan, Mr. Minikhanov, and we were provided excellent working conditions. Thank you very much for a great building that we are working in, and now our institute is equipped with everything necessary for our activities. We have competent employees, and the main topic for our activity is the development of city planning documents. It is the work with the state system and participation in the work of the Ministry of Construction, aimed on transfer of duties, because from the 1st of January of this year, all the authorities were transferred to the ministries, to regions, and we are helping the ministry to work with these authorities. One of the main goals of our work is to work with Kazan and Kama agglomerations. These agglomerations were defined and approved within the strategy 2030. They were approved from the territorial point of view. There will be some adjustments, and this work is very important for the city planning. And if you look at the figures, 82% live in these agglomerations, city agglomerations, and 82% of working places are within these agglomerations. And speaking about GDP, it is 84%, and about 95%. It is the goods that are loaded from these territories. I don't want to diminish the role of rural areas. They also require development. But I see the figures, and they are key ones. So the focus of Ministry of Construction is to develop these territories. This is not the first activity. This is not the first work with master plan of agglomerations. And we worked out a certain technology preparation, collection of data, technologies of the tools that we are using. And here you may see a couple of slides. For us, us, the standard is work with big data, including the data of the telephone operators, which we better understand the distribution of population and the real number of households, of people, and of working places, because sometimes they do not correspond to statistical data. And this distribution of people by territories, not always coincides with the statistical data. For this purpose, the information from the telephone operators is very important, because we understand the traffic of people, where they go and when they go, and we see the whole picture of people movements through the territory and the points of labor application, points of residence. And today we see that there is a big dynamics of population in Kazan. More than 88,000 people arrive every morning in Kazan. The same data help us for analysis, for demography, and take into consideration this data, or we make calculations on demographic potential on the territory. In this case, Kazan is in positive zone, though dynamics until 2030 is not very high, but still these are key figures related to population that we take into account. Special standard work, routine work, is a detailed study of transportation traffic in this territory, and you see the points that were analyzed during a long period of time: transportation traffic, cargo traffic, and passengers traffic. And we've analyzed this traffic and loading of the passengers transportation, and it goes within information models that we worked out during our work. A special matter during the preparation of initial materials. So we worked with population, with standard communities, and we organized strategic sessions as for the Kazan agglomeration, when our experts work with wide circle of people. And during this work, we work out different proposals, then we put them on paper, and then we develop territories for agglomerations. Again, another method to collect information is some cross boarding platforms, when everybody can enter this platform and leave their opinion, express their proposals. It is also a very good way to collect information. Talking about tools, we do not understand how we can work without standard tools. Standard tools for us, it is the digital transportation model. With the correspondence of movement, digital transportation model allows us to estimate prospects of traffic provision, to choose all kinds of methods to develop the road network, how it will work, and how the new roads will be built in order to work effectively. So this transportation digital model allows to estimate the number of people and passengers transportation. The minimum figures for Kazan, it's about 68%. If we go lower, then the system does not cope with servicing of the passengers' traffic. So there are special tasks which we face when we want to calculate the transportation model. It means the provision of transportation for passengers and regulate its movements. So this model allows us to calculate, you see, the transportation traffic for passengers, including metro, which is developing in Kazan. And again, this transportation model allows to define the volume of trips. And so it allows to calculate the number of trips in the metro, Probably metro is not developing very fast in Kazan, but still it develops. And it is important to work out the routes in Kazan metro to make it efficient. A special tool that we are using, and we started to work with this tool when we were employees of the Planning Institute in Moscow. We started to work on this theory. We worked with Mr. Artem Bayevsky. He works for the Higher School of Economy and in our institute. And it was a theory with working with communication transportation model. And what we did in Kazan, now this model is useful as well as a transportation model. It works in 44 components. It is the accessibility of working places, the accessibility for people. And based on these components, this model provides results together with transportation models. So it's rather symbiotic, like 6 or 7 operations which are required for 2 models in order to define the optimum location of population on this territory and optimal location and distribution of working places. This is the model which allows us to prepare our recommendations, where and how much we should build, and how many working places we need to make this system working. So this is the most essential part of our work on planning and on construction, and it happens within this model. It gives us objective results as for the possible construction volumes. This is how the master plan of Zelenodorsky region, subdivided into different regions and different districts, looks like. So the master plan gives us very accurate information about the recommended number of population to be located in this area and about the number of working places. I worked on many master classes in many cities of Russia. But if in other master plans we dealt mainly with local matters, with local nodes, then here for Kazan agglomeration, we use this total calculation of the whole territory, calculation on transport provision, on location of labor, points of labor, and on housing. So, and this master plan in Kazan sharply differs from other master plans for other regions of Russia. As for the project solutions, well, these project solutions are divided into several blocks. First of all, you may see on the screen, since master plan is a master plan of social and economic and spatial developments, you may see the distribution of these areas. There is an information and a solution on social economic development, on long-term social and economic development. The Ministry of Economy of Tatarstan is dealing with this matter. There are matters of investment, economic development, and we are closely working with AIR. And there are other materials which Ministry of Economy, when they are approving them, they fully absorb them and with the air. So it is the transport modeling, territorial modeling, balanced modeling, which I mentioned, and there is an economic model which works together with the previous two. Matters of spatial development, first of all, they concern housing, industrial enterprises, development of urban environment, matters of infrastructure, transportation, engineering infrastructure, ecology, social infrastructure. So all these matters, they are included in the master plan.
And also there is a number of very specific blocks. So this is the culture, the environment, engineering solutions to protect the territory. And this is how our general plan of the Kazan agglomeration looks like. Everything is in the materials and the data, and this data is represented through this layout. What is important, the master plan materials and data are the materials for further development of the urban territory, and we provide certain consequence of the models and the figures. We go first from the master plan to the functional zoning, and when we work on the general plan, we look into the contents of the town planning and development. And the last document is the urban development plan of a landlord. All these plans are integrated, and they work at all the stages of the planning and development. And this is a balanced approach to the urban development. I would like also to add about the use of the master plan. The general urban plan is developed, the plan of the township planning, and as to the social and economic development, we introduce the updates and upgrades of the social and economic development of each Kazan and suburban district. So we provide all transfer documents also that will be connected to the materials of the master plan. At the same time, the master plan is a document that not the end of our activities. In fact, this is just the first step in our work, because after the preparation of the master plan, after the transfer of all figures and data to the local plans, this is when the work on the construction supervision begins, to supervise and monitor how the works and construction activities are carried out, whether it is necessary to introduce changes into the master documents. At the beginning of this year, the Cabinet of Ministers of the Government of Tatarstan issued a decree, and according to this decree, the Ministry of Construction will be monitoring the completion and implementation of all the documents within the master plan. We are going to provide permanent supervision and surveillance of how the documents are implemented. And this is the circular model, how the information of the information flow. This is just a small part of the general work, because this work includes all the elements, beginning with the president or the head of the republic, the Rais of the republic, and then the local authorities, local institutions and people. Everything then is reported to the information system of the Republic of Tatarstan. This allows us to follow very closely the information, and what you see now on the screen is the system of the information flows according to the tasks set to us by the leadership of the Republic. Summing up my presentation, I would like to say what Mr. Mr. President of the Republic said. He visited our stand and he asked to prepare the master plan of the agglomeration on the based on the initial data, the design data, and we in fact are already participating in the sessions of Mr. Stepanov, and we are ready to present our information, our materials, and it is very important to de define the status of master plan within the planning. That's it from my side. Thank you very much for your attention. Our appreciation to Oleg Dmitrievich for his presentation. And we would like to make a question to Denis Kalinkin on behalf of the municipal formation of Kazan and municipal ruling authority of Kazan. Good morning. Regulation of the work within the agglomeration, this is a vital task for us. And I would like to um, give special thanks to Marat Mansurovich and Oleg Dmitrievich, Mrs. Aizatulin and Grigoriev, for the development of a very detailed master plan. Together with Marat Aizatulin and Oleg Grigoriev, we've been working already for 6 months. As a matter of fact, Oleg Grigoriev used to work in Moscow, and at that moment he participated in the development of the general plan of Kazan. Already at those years, we showed that there are quite a lot of traffic jams in Kazan, and the development of our transportation hub, we are very limited with the throughput capacity of transport. And at that moment, we went to the Republican authorities and we set the question that we needed to develop the new transportation and infrastructure. And at that moment, the first steps to develop the new master plan of the agglomeration were done. So we're now already implementing this plan every day. What else I could add? Well, as a matter of fact, Oleg Grigoriev told us quite in detail what we are doing, and the most important is that we work very closely and we hear one another. Thank you very much, and now we would like to make a question to our foreign speaker, Professor Ajit, the Deputy Chancellor of the Bennett University of India. We would like to ask about the experience of Asian countries, in particular India. What are the differences in approaches to the development of agglomerations and municipal territories? Well, we know that the topic of your statement is the role of the artificial intelligence. So what is the role of artificial intelligence in planning?
Honorable Minister, Director, distinguished dignitaries on the stage, off the stage, my dear colleagues. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers for inviting me to share my limited knowledge in this field. I've been working with Innopolis University since 2018. So we have a Center for Artificial Intelligence funded by the federal government, and we have been doing a lot of projects under this major project. And today I thought I will first share what AI or artificial intelligence could do in urban planning or urban agglomeration. During the last 200 years, if you look back, the way technology has changed. We had water power, electricity, information technology, And during the last 10 years, AI has taken things to the mainstream. It has changed the way we live, the way we work, the way we communicate. I think I can keep on talking about that. And today I'm going to give you some insights. I was looking at some of the presentations. It's all about data. It's all about visualization. So AI helps us to interconnect all these data in a very big form, which I think we humans cannot connect. If you look at some of the presentations, various plannings by different agencies, different departments, and how we can interconnect these data, knowledge together so that we can form holistic solutions, not just solving some small problem, but a global solution, a regional solution, things at a very big scale, which are sustainable. That is very important, because something we do today, we should be able to continue doing that. And also it is very practical. The citizens, the community should enjoy their new lifestyle, and it is livable and having a truly healthy, prosperous life. From infrastructure management to transportation, environment. So if you look at the usage of technology, we can see bottom up. You can think about smart homes, smart houses, smart streets, smart cities, smart state, smart country. That is bottom up. Similarly, top down, we can look from the country as a whole, or a state as a whole, city as a whole, and then try to build various infrastructure, and then try to see how technology could map and improve the current situation. At the same time, making sure that the community is engaged at a very big way, providing enough green spaces. For example, when I go around Kazan, I'm sort of very happy because this is a city where I see a lot of greenery. At the same time, a lot of industrial things going side by side. Affordable housing initiatives. So these are all, I would say, a nice plan for a sustainable, happy, living environment. If you look at technology, how can we use technology from a top-down approach? We can get images from satellites. And all of us are doing this for various perspectives. Some could be used for understanding climate, some could be used for understanding agriculture, some could be used for monitoring certain things. So we can also use various types of aerial maps for planning urban agglomeration in a very big scale. Understanding social media. So once you have all this community engaged, how happy they are. We can look at social media. We can look at how citizens engage in the community using artificial intelligence. Automatically we can summarize citizens' happiness. Healthcare, the best hospital systems to provide the necessary health care. You can even figure out illegal citizens in the community. How many citizens are taking weekly holidays, spending time in the malls. So all these things you can easily map using artificial intelligence. Some of you might have heard about Internet of Things. So using sensors, you can indirectly map various information. Movement of trucks, movement of people, movement of cargo. So you can imagine various activities going around the city, going around the state, all can be mapped and understood in a very nice way. Similarly, waste management. I don't know much about waste management in Kazan, but imagine like some cities in Italy, usually they have a crisis. When some workers go on strike, then they have piles of wastes for weeks, and then the whole city starts stinking. So imagine if you have some trackers for managing wastes, energy efficiency, whether we can have smart energy management. So these are all part of, I would say, urban life management in a very big scale. So if you have smart energy management, you can also give citizens energy at a lower cost, making their life more happy. Disaster preparedness, if something bad happens, for example, an earthquake, a flood, whether it is coming, whether we can see it from the satellite, and whether we can forecast something is happening, an earthquake, a volcano, a flood, whether we can make some predictions, and whether we can have some master plan. If something happens, how we can evacuate the citizens so that all the citizens are safe. So AI can do lot of things in many different ways. Similarly, environment, looking at water pollution, air pollution, how good the water is, how good the air is, whether we can monitor this, whether we can make citizens happy. So it's not just infrastructure and housing, but the final, I would say, the quality of life, where the citizens are breathing fresh air, where they're getting good water, the best food, and happiness. So AI can link all these things in various ways, directly and indirectly. So in one way, I would say, if you use technologies like artificial intelligence, we could improve the quality of life at a very big scale, and thereby the citizens can also contribute much better to the community and to the state and to the country. An happy citizen would always contribute a lot more. Similarly, business opportunities. So like Kazan, for example, seeing this forum happening every year, inviting a lot of foreign participants from all over the world is an achievement for the state. So why Kazan is able to attract these attendees every year in such a big scale? Because we are doing the best possible way to make citizens happy, the best infrastructure, the best of everything. And how we can keep on doing this? As we scale up, we are adding more population, more infrastructure. We certainly need technology to help, to aid. I was talking good things about artificial intelligence. So likewise, in technology, there are also various risks associated. There could be unemployment because using technology means you might offload some workers, some attendees, etc., etc. We need more regulatory mechanisms to control technology versus all these infrastructure planning, various associations. So we need a lot of interactions between technology and infrastructure, like an interface. A lot of work needs to be done, how much we want to use technology. So I guess sky is the limit if you really want to integrate artificial intelligence and technology at a very big scale for urban planning. And I guess to give you some insights, we have Center for AI at Innopolis University. We have several specialist professors working in AI, and I welcome any of you want to get more information how we can use such technologies in some of the work you are doing. I guess all of them will be very happy to take it forward. And coming back to India, I would quickly comment few words. So India, as you know, is a very big country, close to 1.5 billion, probably the world's biggest population, almost there with China. So we have a lot of issues, especially capitals like Delhi, Mumbai, Calcutta, Chennai. It is massive. So the strategies are very different. So we cannot really use the technologies as I mentioned. So we need to handle people who are below poverty line, at the same time people who have aeroplanes in their garage, something like that. So we need to actually manage all these things at the same time. So it's a huge challenge. So at a national level, we are doing a lot of planning at various levels. So we have a lot of well-planned cities in the country. At the same time, a lot of things are going in different directions, integrating technologies as much as we can. You might have heard about smart cities. There are, I think, close to 70 plus smart cities at various stages in India. Similarly, energy grid, a lot of, I would say, management of various things using technology. I guess with that, I will conclude. Thank you very much. Sorry, I'm sure some of you might not be able to understand because some of you, I guess, were looking at me without understanding. So I hope that there will be some translation at some point. Thank you very much.
Спасибо большое. Да, есть, конечно же, перевод. Уважаемые коллеги,
Dear colleagues, I should like to remind you that you can ask questions. And for example, the moderator has a question to Mr. Ajit. Please allow me one question for you. What is the best example of using the artificial intelligence? Who is the pioneer in using the artificial intelligence in developing cities?
Well, I think that's a difficult question. So if you look at technology itself, AI is moving at a very fast scale, especially the last 3-4 years. Generative artificial intelligence. You might have heard about large language models, GPTs, chat GPTs. So basically we are able to predict contents. So giving prompts, for example, if you're telling, draw me or design the layout of a city with forest inside, with some high-rise buildings, with some supermarket, basically you can get a layout in 2 minutes or even 1 minute. So that is possible using generative AI. That technology itself is very immature. So basically it just came out only last year and several versions are coming out. So I would say if you ask me who are the pioneers of using this, it's very difficult to answer because a lot of people are experimenting this. And almost every 6 months, something new is happening. So for example, like last week, there was a new version of ChatGPT Omni, ChatGPT 4 Omni, which is like, even you can communicate using speech. For example, I can tell the interface, design a city with some forest, with some infrastructure, with this type of rail, with some airport, this, and you'll get a nice layout of a city just by voice. So from speech, we have moved to voice. And I don't know what can happen after 6 months. So it's very interesting how the technology is growing very fast. And I would say the Western side, especially Europe, US, they are leading in this area because the entire OpenAI, the whole platform is controlled by them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Ajit. A question to to Oleg. Is it possible to give this presentation to the research institutes or to those who deal with the development of agglomeration? Do you agree to provide your presentation? Let's wait until the approval of a master plan, which is expected in the near future. We will approve it, and then we will provide others with this master plan. So this master plan is still under consideration, and it cannot be public. We want to give the floor now to Ms. Natalia Klimova, and she will talk about the specifics of agglomeration of a real city. And because you are a head of the organizing committee of the Council of Chief Architects, you see the routes that the cities are using for their development and how they take into consideration the experience of old cities in the new agglomerations. Thank you very much. First of all, thank you for inviting me. This is important, and I should like to welcome all of you in the name of the Council of Chief Architects of Russia and in the name of the Russian Academy of Architecture and Construction. When I was preparing for this presentation, well, I looked up the meaning of the word agglomeration, and you know, the first two things, there are primary explanation and then secondary and so on and so forth, but this word primarily means accumulation. But I think that the first explanation is accumulation. It's what every agglomeration wants to have. But the other thing is, I made a survey because the Council of Chief Architects, and I asked them how they participate. And are they familiar with this work as far as the agglomeration is concerned? And what I received, the answer was for using the tool which was mentioned by Oleg. Mainly, they talked about master plans, about STP, because it's not possible, according to the legislation, to work on the stages of agglomeration. But when there are 4 regions which did it, and nobody responded to my request, so I made a conclusion that the main architects, chief architects of cities and regions, they do not deeply know this topic, especially until now, because questions of agglomeration, they are very meaningful, they're very significant, but they cover not only the matters of spatial planning, but the result should be achievement of a certain comfort at this particular territory, which is quite big. What else is interesting, and I think the chief architect will talk about it, he managed to agree with the Stavropol region. They have an understanding of agglomeration, but you know that initially, and Oleg mentioned it in his presentation, that first of all, before you start developing, first of all, you have to define the limits, the borders of agglomeration, because the limits of agglomeration are different from administrative borders, and this is a category which is movable. It can be changed. What is interesting here, it can be changed to, as far as the growth is concerned, it can grow because the transportation will grow and other opportunities will grow, exchange of information and increase of opportunities for movement. But also it can go in the other side towards diminishing, because sometimes developing well, before, if you want to develop, starting from the starting point, there could be new centers, and they will establish new agglomerations, and you have to remember about them. And again, it was mentioned today, the meaning of agglomeration is present in our strategy of spatial development. And also, maybe it seems strange, but It is not strange, but you do not remember about it all the time. But it is included the international project, and we talk about high quality and safe roads. And then this topic is mentioned in the documents, which will be used for approval of the master plans. But you mentioned old cities, old towns, whether they are taken into consideration when planning new agglomerations. But mainly, old cities, they make the core, the downtown, the heart of any agglomeration or any city. And it's a special issue, development of downtown. And I think it goes to a different level. The documents require detailed consideration, but this is a condition because before the agglomeration, before start working on master planning of agglomeration, we need to understand the image of what we want to have as a result. It's not just a mechanical tie of different settlements or cities or towns, but it is an attempt to to get rid of disproportion at this particular territory. Creation of agglomeration and further development of documents for this territory is to find territories of discomfort and to exclusion of these disproportions. Again, when I was preparing for this speech, I found an article of our first chairman of the chief architects, Mr. Kuzmin. It was published in 2019. It was dedicated to development of agglomeration, and he called it a real city. And probably, maybe it is not a normative explanation, not a normative provision or a name, but it clearly reflects the meaning, the essence of agglomeration. It was said here, and our distinguished guest mentioned that the main goal is to create a comfort, quality life, unique quality, but it does not mean that the image of life should be the same. This is not so. Maybe there is a reason to work out some additional belts, because even the territories that we saw related to Kazan agglomeration, they are not the same. For example, the downtown and the new regions and those territories which are already beyond the limits of the city, the quality, the lifestyle is different, and people choose a different lifestyle, and it is very important to provide comfort, but at the same time to retain the lifestyle that they've already selected for themselves. This is critical, and we have to remember it when we deal with when construction or introduction of new housing. And I saw that in Kazan, and it is very impressive, these strategic sessions are organized, dedicated to discussion and involving public, what they want, how the city wants to live. It is a combination of interests, how we like to say, but we do not achieve it very often. But this is our task, the task of our authorities and it is the task of business, which helps to develop all territories. But first of all, a human being is in the center, and everything is done for the sake of this human being. So these processes are very interesting. Agglomeration is not instant. We have among our guests a Deputy Minister of Construction and Housing of the Republic of Moldova, Mrs. Yelena Meretina. And for example, agglomeration in Saransk and Ruzaivka, it has not been completed and it has not reached the level of a document. And maybe this is not bad, because sometimes we need to accelerate, but sometimes we don't have to accelerate, we don't have to be very fast, we have to think. And so the word agglomeration, well, for facilitating our work, it should appear in the documents or in the legislation of city construction, but we don't have to regulate it too much, because nowadays nothing prohibits us to work on documents related to development of agglomeration. It depends only on the will of those who govern our regions and cities. The most important thing is to reach consensus. Thank you very much. Thank you, Natalia Alexandrovna, for your presentation. And we should like to welcome our distinguished speaker, Mr. Muzichenko, Sergei Muzichenko, Deputy Minister of Construction and Housing and Communal Services of the Russian Federation. He just completed the previous very important session and he moved to us, but now, do you want to talk now or do you want to wait? Or if you are ready, we can switch on your presentation. Please tell us. Well, give him some time to relax. So while Mr. Sergei Grigorievich is expecting and preparing, we want to have a video conference with the chief architect of a very big region, a Stavropol region, Jafar Efroman. He is a deputy minister and he is a chief architect. Well, we want to listen to you about the development of agglomeration in Stavropol region. Well, please check the quality of communication, please. Dear colleagues, dear participants, in my presentation, I want to briefly tell you about the work that we are organizing in Stavropol region as far as the agglomeration is concerned. We have limits of 2 agglomerations, Stavropol agglomeration and agglomeration of mineral waters. They are 2 different agglomerations. In Stavropol region, it is monocentric, and in mineral waters, it is a polycentric. Every city resort is unique and it is developing according to its individual plan. And our task is to provide balanced development of all these cities. In 2021, there was a resolution of the government of Russian Federation to have a complex development of mineral waters, Caucasus mineral waters. And I should like to thank colleagues from Dom.rf and from the Institute of General Planning of Moscow. Thanks to our joint work, this master plan was developed, and it has undergone all stages of agreement with the authorities of Stavropol region. It was considered by different panels and sessions which were organized involving professional community, people living in these territories, in these municipal settlements. And the main target is to provide balanced development of all municipal components of agglomeration and to bring them in compliance with the overall goal of preservation of resort cities of mineral waters. It was not simple. We dealt with this work for 2 years, 2022, 2023, and today this master plan has been developed and we start to implement the activities that were foreseen in our master plan. This master plan allowed us to define to define different goals, to formulate different tools which will allow us to solve the issues. And based on this serious work, we started to make adjustments to the territorial planning, to the region on the whole, and to the municipality settlements, which are components of agglomeration, so that this master plan should be reflected in the local territorial documents. We already witnessed the first results, and our colleagues from the Institute of City Planning, they organized a very deep analysis of the transportation circuit. And now, at the level of our region, we are formulating a program for engineering infrastructure of mineral waters. And based on the materials we have, we include them in our program. This master plan was developed until 2040, and we understand that implementation of the activities which were foreseen in the master plan require monitoring of implementation, and consequently it requires works on to make these activities relevant. So this work has started. The results, the first results are visible, and we hope that people, those who live in the mineral waters, and of course guests, those who come to the resort cities, they will witness and they will see the changes which will be the result of our activities. And briefly about the work that we are going to start. We are going to start with the Research Institute of Spatial Planning. We've concluded an agreement with this institute, and we start to work on the limits of Stavropol agglomeration. Before, we had 5 municipalities which were components of Stavropol agglomeration, but then based on the results of our research, we managed to... I want to support Natalia, and in her presentation she underlined that limits of the agglomeration, they are not administrative and they can be changed. And in our case, we see the reduction of the limits and borders of agglomeration, because Nevinnomyssk is the capital, industrial capital of Stavropol region. Taking into account its economic development, transportation accessibility, and it is an independent, it wants to be a core, an independent agglomeration.
So we're talking now about the formation of the municipal centers, and now the final approval of the development of this agglomeration has been written, and we now work on the specific details that should be included into the development of the Stavropol agglomeration. And we look forward to the master plan, so that the agglomeration and the master plan are reflected in the norms and regulations, and it will make it easier for us to work with the master plans and the processes of integration. Thank you very much for your attention. I am ready to answer the potential questions. Thank you very much for your statement, and we wish to the Stavropol agglomeration the very active and successful development. And thanks again for your statement. And now we would like to give the floor to Sergei Muzichenko. I think we have the presentation from Mr. Muzichenko. I will now put it on the screen. Thank you very much, dear colleagues. First of all, I would like to give the Greetings from Mr. Faizulin, the Minister of the Construction. Dear colleagues, I'm very glad to greet you here at the session of agglomerations within the session on the formation, and we work very actively on the development of the population, our agglomerations, and in order to build the correct development, and we put the aim to develop our agglomerations and cities until year 2030 and further development, and we plan the tasks to for all the industries, transport, energy, and other manufacturing industries through the development of the city agglomerations, and also with the institution of the space development. We are carrying out the integrated work to develop the joint policies for the agglomerations. We develop the new startups, and this will be considered in the committees on the development. We have started the formation of the new plan and the development of 2,000 municipalities that are combining the agglomerations. It is very important to assess this situation of the territories, and it is very important for the existing municipalities. I am sure that this discussion will be useful at the fields of the forum, and this will help us to develop new approaches. The Minister of Communal Services, Mr. Faizulin. I think I am quite in time because our colleague from the Stavropol region made accent that, well, what about the clicker? Unfortunately, we don't have for the moment common approaches to the master plan. What it is, what should be the context, who should develop it, and what are the tasks and objectives of a master plan. Unfortunately, there are no universal approaches, and because of this, there was an order from the President to define the role of the master plan within this system of legislation, including the urban development norms and rules, and what are the qualifying requirements to the developers of the master plan. We got this order at the end of last year, and jointly with the colleagues from the Corporation Domerev and the Ministry of the Development of the Far East, and some other colleagues who have been working in this area for a number of years. And in certain cases, there have been master plans, and they are already in implementation in some territories. First of all, we have to define what the master plan is. What are the tasks and objectives of a master plan? Our vision was, and it was confirmed, that we need the common approach. And actually, the main goal of a master plan is the development of a region, of a municipality or urban agglomeration, or this is to provide the main trend in the urban development. It is very important not only to develop a document for the planning, but to provide the task of this document so that it gives the most efficient contribution and effect from the point of view of development. Within the order of the President, we have set up the working group. During several months, we have been preparing the proposals to the government. Just a month ago, we presented our proposals at the level of the interagency working group. And first, we have to define the place of the master plan within the general norms and rules set of documents, the requirements to the developers, and the use of this master plan. What are the main proposals that we considered? in the course of implementations of the order of the President. On the left, we have the proposals, and on the right, we see a click or a cross where we approved or rejected this or that proposal. Most of our colleagues supported our approach. The positions developed by the working group, and now we are at the stage of the implementation and the development of the draft initiatives in legislation. First of all, we carried out tremendous analytical work, and I appreciate the work of my colleagues. This allowed us to understand what is already exists within the master plans, in order not to make fancy ideas, but to work practically and just to follow the logic. We carried out a serious analysis, and on the left-hand side we see the main lines of development where the master plans have been already developed. This is the tourism, the engineering structure, culture, natural infrastructure, and the master plans consider the federal territories, regional territories, development of agglomeration, and others. And as examples, we had the master plans of Norilsk, Kislovodsk, and the city of Derbent. The master plan concept as the basis for the urban development documents. So what a master plan should bring in order to implement the urban development documents. In our view, this should be a combination and the connection of what we don't have now, connection to the previous documents and to the documents of the territory development and planning. In this regard, a master plan, from the point of view of development and implementation, a master plan already has some benefits. It does not put forward the very strict requirements. So far, developers of a master plan can express certain creativity, because if we try to put a master plan into a very rigid frame, like the documents of territory or urban planning, then we will not get the necessary document. What are the advantages of a master plan? First of all, this is a very dedicated analysis of the territory, and as I was telling, this is the tourism, culture, social infrastructure, etc. It contains the characteristics and features of a project. So far, the existing projects do not allow us to implement it directly. Still another feature is the portfolio of specific projects, because I will tell you more about it a little bit later. We want to avoid a situation when we create another document that will not be able to be implemented, and it will lead just to another volume of some investigations and surveys without giving a practical result with practical effect for the territory. The main aims of the integration of a master plan is to maintain all the benefits of a master plan, to increase the implementation ability of documents of the territorial planning, to provide the interaction between strategical and territorial planning, And this will be achieved when we introduce the master plans into the set of rules and norms of the Russian Federation. And finally, to fix the necessity to take into account the master plans when the urban development documents are prepared. Now, what is the concept of the master plan as the basis for the preparation of urban development documents? Here we see certain effects. This is to exclude the necessity to prepare the documents to for justification of the documents. Exclude the necessity to prepare the documents for territory planning. This is a part of the discussion, but we can say that this will be a certain exclusion for the preparation of certain documents. It means that if we exclude the necessity to prepare these documents, this will allow us to reduce the schedule of the planning cycle. Already in the documents of the territorial planning, we'll have the specific projects with specific results, expected results, and the development of the infrastructure, and these plans will be implemented in a certain time. And clear objectives of the territorial planning with the timing and schedule more clear from the very beginning. One of the most important lines of activities is on the left side below. This is the feature of a master plan that gives us the expected result in visualization. We think, of course, the visualization is not the main task of the master plan. Sometimes we just call it funny pictures. But on the other hand, a visualization is perceived by the population, by the community, and by the stakeholders, including the municipal leaders and industrial leaders, of course, very positively. And depending on the visualization, we can say how it will be implemented and how it will be realized. The concept of the master plan is the following. We see three main stages of changes in the norms and regulations in order to fulfill the order of the President and the changes in the legislation. First of all, we have to introduce the changes into the urban development code of the Russian Federation. This will be the relation between the instruments of the local development and federal development. The next important task is to publicize the acts of the government of the Russian Federation. And the third feature is the emission of the national standards. As a matter of fact, if we look now at the role of the master plan, it means that we will pass these important powers to the upper level. And also, we have to understand that we fix the requirements to the developers of master plans. In our view, the development of master plan is a variety of the research and development project, because we are using a huge volume of data, and it is necessary to process it very correctly from the methodology point of view, because a small error in the implementation of data can lead to serious mistakes in the implementation of the development of a certain area, certain district, certain agglomeration, and this will affect the life of millions. And we have understand the cases when we can introduce certain exclusions. And another important point is the publication of the rules and norms of the Russian Federation, because this is indeed has to do with the general provisions of the contents of the master plans. And finally, one issue is very arguable. This is the emission of national standards. We believe that it is necessary, but there are other opinions, and it is necessary to find a balance, because it is not it cannot be done simply by a research institution. And the publishing of a master plan can be done not only by the research institutions. What are the main norms and regulations? This is the state standard of the Russian Federation, but we have to take into account that a standard is a voluntary system according to the legislation, but at the same time it is an obligatory document, mandatory one. At the same time, if we are talking about a standard, it is very difficult to describe in state standard all the features and all the requirements to the master plan. And our colleagues from the working group indeed expressed different positions. This is a flexible document, but on the other hand, we have to remember that this is aimed at raising lots of investments. And we believe that this document is quite voluntarily. Nevertheless, we believe that this is a standard, finally, and through the orders of the government, this is an element of a system that will allow to fulfill the tasks for which quite a lot of funding is allocated. So we see that this work has been done by the Ministry of Construction, and at present all our outcomes, all our working outcomes at the level of the working group now already are at the level of the government of the Russian Federation, and by the end of the year, during the autumn session of the Russian Parliament, we will have to go further, basing our activities on the legislative acts and orders and decrees at the beginning of the next year. Thank you very much, and we appreciate very much your presentation, which took into account everything important and necessary. And now we have Anton Finagenov through the online communication. He is the Director for Urban Development of Doma RF company. Anton Vladimirovich, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, dear colleagues. We provide you the floor. How you see the trends and prospects of master planning today? Thank you. First of all, I think we should start with the evolution that the practice of developing master plans has undergone. Please correct the sound, and please talk a bit louder. I would start with the evolution of master planning, because it is important that by master plan we understand many other documents. First of all, it is the master plan of the city of Purim, which was developed in 2010. This document has undergone many, many changes. In 2010, it looked like a European or American practice, and it was a kind of a negotiation platform. It was a media project, but then again within the activity related to Far East, to Arctics, to the development of master plans, and this activity is being done based on instruction of the President of the Russian Federation. This particular master plan was a combination of a general plan and a strategy of national development, and it also includes some local industrial programs. And I think the next slide. Here there are examples of typical master plans that we may face. For example, strategic master plan. I think it's the closest to those documents which are being developed now for the Far East and Arctics. And there is a practice of developing sectoral master plans. For example, tourist master plans, which is being done by the Ministry of Economy, and there are several conceptual master plans. They look like documents which go back to 10, 14, 12 years old. They are mainly the agreement master plans. And now we have specific master plans for specific territories. And the next slide is, it includes, we may see here that master plans differ significantly on their scale. There are macro regions, we have touristic master plans for several regions, and they go up to the plan of a micro district. From our point of view, which Oleg mentioned, first of all, it should define what we call a master plan. What do we mean by master plan? As a document for economic, social planning. Again, that we are working on based on the instruction of the President of the Russian Federation. And first of all, it is the agglomeration scale, which includes several municipalities, or we have urban agglomeration, or an agglomeration of a settlement. When we talk about some major parts of territories or regions or several regions, it requires a different name. So to avoid misunderstanding, which we see more often now and which we face more often now. And of course, the basic definition, I've already mentioned it. There are different characteristics here. They are called goals. When developing master plans, we invite and involve local population. They also have to be part of the development of the master plans. It's not similar to a general plan when public hearings are being organized at the final stage, but here we should involve the local population throughout all stages. Master plans, according to the existent practice, they are cross-scale documents. On the one hand, they relate to the development of a city or agglomeration, but there are some solutions which have to be considered as for some particular parts of this settlement or region, in order the population and business understand what we are talking about in this master plan. plan, and what are the proposals that are being reflected in the master plan, because sometimes the professional and functional zoning of space is not understandable by everybody. And of course, it's a complex document. It unites economic planning, and these are the most difficult moments. Another moment is the preparation phase for developing of a master plan. And there are two moments. When we work with regions, they come to us and they have to understand these master plans. And they don't have to try to delegate the role of a customer to someone else, whether it is a development institute or a developer of a master plan. Before the real development starts, it is important that a region on the level of municipality, on the level of regional authorities, because now regions ask us to develop master plans into municipal master plans. So they have to organize the first session, and they first have to define the terms of the master plan. Despite the fact that we have some methodology which was published for Arctic and for Far East, we should organize this activity. And then we need a team which will be dealing with the development of the master plan. But development is only the first stage. However, it's a long way which the master plan will have to undergo, starting from the first moment, and it will be a long way. And first of all, terms of reference should be approved, and there should be a team consisting of several people, and they have to work, for example, like 5 years. They should be nominated not for a year or 6 months. And in examples are Arzamas, Derbent, Suzdal. They demonstrated their efficiency based on 4 or 5 years of implementation and based on effective team who regularly deal with these matters. This is a key responsibility. Secondly, I want to tell you about working with investors, because when some investment projects they were reflected in master plans or in strategies of economic development, and they are being discussed with investments when the documents are already prepared, when they are developed. But investors with their projects, with their compromise solutions, because not all the investment projects do not have the economic effect. Well, some attraction of government funds is necessary, but the whole presentation will be accessible to you. And now we work on very important issues, on creation a unique digital platform which will allow, in the online mode, to monitor the process of implementation of the master plan. In order to make this platform effective, it is very important, it is critical to work unique requirements towards digital platform, to the data bank which will be used for developing project solutions. And these envisages not only data from official resources, but also data from telephone operators, which will allow us to have more accurate information. And this should be done at the stage of development. But the most important phase is, of course, the phase of implementation of a master plan, and where the electronic data bank in two contours, in open and closed, every citizen can look how the implementation of some priority projects are being done. and so that the governor and the local government could monitor all the current work that is done aimed at implementation of some key projects, like, for example, preparation of the budget. And we know that in the Republic of Tatarstan and in other leading regions on the Republican level, they have already approved such systems. And the key issue is how to translate it to the federal level, to all regions, and to integrate master planning in these processes, in the processes of digitalization, because we have to admit that most of the master plans, they well, they have a very poor electronic form. Their raster formats of submitting data, figures, maps, and then monitoring of implementation and further use will be significantly diminished. And so, as for the master plans, together with the Ministry of Digit, Ministry of Economy, these questions should be thoroughly considered. Then integration of a master plan in the regulation and legislation. We will not talk, I will not mention it because my predecessor mentioned it. And I should like to apologize that I was not able to come and talk in front of you. Thank you very much, Anton Vladimirovich. We understand that this is the very vast topic, development of agglomeration. That is why we organized this session prior to a big international forum, Rebus, which will be organized in November of this year. And I hope that we will prepare, together with our colleagues, a number of very professional sessions dedicated to development of agglomeration in Russia and all over the world. There are questions from the audience. Please do not switch off, and please raise your hand, those who want to ask questions. Introduce yourself and please use the microphone when asking your question. Good afternoon, colleagues. I am an assistant professor of the Construction University, and I have a question. How the period of the development of a master plan, how these periods are defined and approved? I think I can give a reply. First of all, now the norms and regulations for introducing master plan, according to our practice and based on the practice that exists in the Far East, I think there are 3 periods for planning. With different detailization. It is 3 years, which is attached to budget planning, then 5 years, a midterm, and a long term, 10 years. Some master plans, they contain, the image of strategic vision up till 2040, 2050, but the most detailed development lasts for 3 or 5 years. And nowadays, budget planning can be done for 6 years. And this will help a lot in the field of strategic implementation of the development of territories. And we understand that 6 years is not a strategic term, but it allows to implement very complicated activities, which will be the basis for the next 10 or 20 years. Thank you very much. A few words, I want to add something. These periods for budget planning, they play a key role, but again, the investment is very important because we have many objects which create working places and which attract extra budgetary funds. Why this master plan will be shown and it will show the investments from extra budgetary sources. Not only the investments, but with real periods of implementation, which will provide for working places. And this combination is very important because development of infrastructure does not mean any sense if there are no working places. It is very important, and for the budget processes, for infrastructural processes, there should be business. And master plan should reflect these moments, understanding that the state will provide the infrastructure for a certain period of time, by a certain period of time, and working places will be created at this particular place. Thank you for your comment. Do you have other questions to our distinguished speakers? Natalia Klimova has a question. Thank you very much. I will ask a question. Please tell us, probably Sergei Grigorovich or Anton Vladimirovich, on the 23rd of August 2023, a national standard has been published on master plans on VBR in 3 volumes. Of course, this is a product that appeared thanks to these discussions. Will it be taken into consideration when it will be part of a standardization, official standardization? Well, a point of clarification. What kind of standards that you are talking about? This is the standard of a master plan of VBRF, or is it a state standard? No, this is the state standard of VBRF. We have our colleagues in our task force, and I think they use their standards. Today, we are talking that requirements for the content, requirements for developers, they should be implemented on the level of the state standards. It should be like a state standard or a methodology approved by a respective body. But I think that this document will be taken into consideration for preparing a state standard. Well, we do not refuse anybody to take part in the discussion and the consideration of these state standards. Thank you. Thanks for your comments. Do you have other questions? Please, the last question, because we are invited to a plenary session, which will be organized in the concert hall. Good afternoon. I have a question. If we talk, coming back to the agglomeration topic, if we talk about planning, if we talk about some, great changes, if we want to plan agglomeration in a different way, what is the result? What is the effect that we are expecting on the level of regions? And will it result in the changes of the system of management? For example, in Tatarstan, will it be a management instead of 52 regions? Will it be a management of 3 big agglomerations? Whom did you address this question, and who wants to answer? This is a question related to management. I think it has a federal meaning. In fact, I fail to understand what you mean by the system of management. You mean that we're focusing on agglomeration, these points will have a priority rights in some target programs? No, I want to clarify. When we start to deal with planning of agglomeration, a number of new issues arises. For example, agreement between municipalities, agreements with the federal level. Of course, there will be many discrepancies. But what needs to be done to implement this plan in the future? Or does it concern the existing system of management? Does it have to be modified? The master plan, which I reported on and my colleagues mentioned in their presentation, logic of master plan is a combination of different level federal objects, regional objects, from the point of view of approach towards the document of territorial planning. Master plan will play a key role, and the goal is to combine strategy and territorial planning. How it will look like from the management, from investment point of view. Well, we have like maybe 2,000 settlements and growth points, and development of master plans and establishment of all the programs will be done, including these growth points, which have to bring maximum effect to the economy. Thank you very much. We are concluding our session. Thanks to everybody for your attention, and we invite you to a plenary session of Kazan Forum in a concert hall, and we invite all of you to participate in the Rebus Forum, which will be organized in November. Thanks to simultaneous interpreters, we have specific lexics. And you managed to deal with it. Thank you very much, Professor Ajit. You are welcome to the forums.